All right, we are on record, and we just wanted to kind of go through the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the complete edition from 1972, and the copyright is owned by the 1972 edition is owned by Macmillan, then Collier Books, and then 1972 to 2008 is owned by Bhaktivinoda Book Trust, right? Do you want to start by reading the foreword?
Oh, yes, of course. Should I just start?
Yeah, sure.
The Bhagavad Gita is the best known and the best frequently translated of Vedic religious texts. Why it should be so appealing to the Western mind is an interesting question. It is drama, for its setting is a scene of two great armies, banners flying, drawn up opposite one another on the field, poised for battle. It has ambiguity, and the fact that Arjuna and his charioteer Krishna are carrying on the dialogue between the two armies suggests the indecision of Arjuna about the basic question: should he enter battle against and kill those who are friends and kinsmen? It is mystery, as Krishna demonstrates to Arjuna his cosmic form. It has a properly complicated view of the ways of the religious life and treads of the paths of knowledge, works, discipline, and faith, and their interrelationships, problems that have bothered adherents of other religions and other times and places.
Right. So the foreword is written by a professor in the department where I got my PhD at the University of Chicago. He's passed away a long time back, but he was one of the foremost experts on the history of Chaitanya Vaishnavism. And that is why when Prabhupada was writing this book, he reached out and he wanted to get a foreword from this professor. And if we just look at the section we just read, there are four things he is talking about. It is ambiguity, it has drama, it has mystery, and it has devotion.
Yeah.
Right? But the first one is it has drama. And here's the one idea I wanted to share that will help us make sense of what we're doing. You know, Shakespeare talks about how the world is a stage and each one of us play a role on that stage, right?
Yes.
And the masks we wear or the characters we play is our persona. But behind our persona is our personality, our personhood. It's a person who must have a persona. Am I clear so far?
Yes.
And no matter what we do, we are always engaging in drama of life, because at the end of the day, think about it. Whether we are running a business, we're doing a drama that has its heart the exchange of value. When we are raising a child, we do the drama of being a parent or a teacher. When we are working with the government, if we are in the government, we do the drama of being a person in position of authority who has control over other people's lives. And drama, according to Rupa Goswami, when it becomes transcendental, is the essence of rasa. Drama is the way in which we experience rasa, and the meaning of life at the end of the day boils down to, what is our meaning in life? Are we having the best time of our lives? And to the extent we engage in one of the rasas, and we will get to what a rasa is as we go further, we realize that we are either in this world doing drama And experiencing rasa, that means the essence of loving relationships that affects us positively or negatively, or we are participating in a drama in our head where we look at the bigger picture. That means, how big is this universe and what is my role in all of this? Right? So it is either the drama of our personal lives or the drama of the universe, and dramas between these places or these levels. And so the Bhagavad Gita has drama because the Mahabharata is drama. It's an epic drama.
Yeah.
It has mystery in the sense, the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, and we can turn all the way to chapter 18, verse 78 at the end of the book. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. Right? This is what the verse means. Wherever there is Yogeshwara, Yogeshwara means the Lord of Yoga, one who is a living embodiment of yoga, and the student of yoga, Partha, Dhanurdhara. Dhanurdhara means a bow-wielding warrior, but he's a yogi warrior, a warrior yogi. Tatra, in that place, there are three things that are assured. There are three things that are assured. What are these? Sri. Sri means opulence, grandeur, wealth. Vijaya. Vijaya means victory. And Bhuti. Bhuti means exceptional power. So wherever there is Krishna, the yogi, and Arjuna, the yogi student, these three things, good fortune, Sri, victory, Vijaya, and Bhuti means, all success, is Dhruva Niti. Niti means law, and Dhruva means immovable. Right? It is like fixed law. Matir Mama. Sanjaya says, it is my intelligence is telling me that these three things are assured. But if you look at the story of Arjuna and Krishna, it's a lifetime of serial disasters.
Pretty much.
It's a lifetime of serial disasters. And the mystery is, will there be victory? Will there be justice? And this is the mystery of all our lives as well. At the end of our lives, or even in the middle of our lives, the big question we ask ourselves is, will we get justice in our lives? Is there justice?
I have a question later.
Yeah, please.
So if it is so sure that what justice is, why would we have a war about it?
Because, and here's the answer, because the Srimad Bhagavat talks about dharma as satya, saucha, tapa, and daya. Satya means honesty or integrity. Saucha means cleanliness. Tapa means discipline and restraint. And daya is non-violence and kindness. These four are the legs of dharma. And wherever there is a lack of dharma, Krishna says, I manifest myself again and again to restore dharma, to protect the people who follow dharma, and the virtuous people, and get rid of the vicious ones. And at the end of Krishna's life, when Krishna saw that his own grandchildren and great-grandchildren have gone against the principles of dharma, and they are fighting with each other and literally killing each other, Krishna was like, there is nothing we can do. This is good for Mother Earth. Right? So his point is, whenever we live on this planet, we have to tread on it kindly.
Okay, I agree.
And in the Srimad Bhagavat, in the Mahabharata, Krishna says that my first commitment is to the planet. And if you were to translate what Sri Krishna was saying to 21st century language, right? If Krishna was here with us, he would probably say, there is no planet B. Right? You know, we say where there is no plan B. And this is the only boat we know in the universe where we can live.
I don't know what Elon Musk would say about it.
Elon Musk cannot take an entire ecosystem and transport it to Mars. I have a lot of respect for him, and he's trying to do something great. But maybe in the future, some people will live in international space stations going around planet Earth, and then rich people can live there and poor people can live here. I don't know what the future will look like. But I know one thing for sure, that this human form of life, with the kind of reasoning ability and the use of language and the scientific discoveries that we have made throughout the existence of humanity on this planet, is unprecedented, unparalleled. Dinosaurs did not send rockets to the moon. But at the same time, there are limits to what we can do, right? And so Sri Krishna is saying in this Bhagavad Gita that we must practice these 4 principles, and these 4 principles come up in different places of the Gita. But it is emphasized in the particular formula that I expressed in the Bhagavatam, right?
Yes.
And when we practice these 4 principles in our life, then the earth becomes a reasonable place to live, and we can use our human lives well and leave this planet not only in a better shape than we found it, but live content. We have lived a good life.
Could we go through these 4 principles, or you have?
We can go through this, it will come up.
Yeah.
So it has mystery, it has ambiguity, right? That means not everything will be clear in the first go. But as we keep reading this text, and here is the most important thing, we cannot read the Bhagavad Gita like we read other books in a way, you know, in our consumerist culture. This is a book that was given to me, and not this particular copy, but this is a book that was given to me when I was 10 years old by my grandfather, Horit Bhushan Sarkar. And, you know, he said, you read this and I will ask you questions. Okay. I read it, I didn't understand anything. And then the first question he was asked me is that in this chapter, this verse, there is this verse called Chaturvarna Maya Srishta Guna Karma Vibhagascha. Krishna says, I have created the 4 varnas, the caste system, what Westerners call the caste system, the Varnavad or Varna Pratha, and or Jati Pratha. And it is based on guna and karma. Why would Krishna create such an unjust system?
Yeah, to start there.
First question. So it took me a few years to come up with answers, but that's how I was taught the Bhagavad Gita. He would ask the most difficult questions and he would say, the answer is right here, you figure it out. Right? And so what we are trying to do here is go through this whole book slowly over a period of a year, hopefully, and understand what this says about contemporary issues, things that are relevant to our lives, right? And so we must acknowledge that we will not understand the whole thing at get-go because it has ambiguity. But most importantly, the last thing that Dimok talks about is that it has devotion. And the word bhakti in Sanskrit comes from the verbal root bhaj. It means to adore, to love. To love in such a way that one's activities are surrounded by the person who you love. And we will see a passage where Prabhupada talks about being in love like a secret lover. That is what that love looks like. And it's not just Prabhupada, other thinkers in the Indian tradition say similar things. But we will wait for that. Let's continue reading.
Okay. Oh, I changed. I went to the chapter 18.
I can read.
Just a second.
The
Yeah,
devotion
please.
spoken of, and then I can read, and now next turn you can explain what you understood, and then we can continue like that.
Okay.
The devotion spoken of is a deliberate means of religious satisfaction, not a mere outpouring of poetic emotion. It's not just, oh, this poetry is so good. No, it is a deliberate means of satisfaction. What does it do? It satisfies the heart. That's what this book is meant for. If you're selling this book on the streets and you have not read it, and after selling these books you're not satisfied, then you don't know what you're talking about. Right? Next to the Bhagavad Purana, the next most important book, a long work from South India, the Gita is the text most frequently quoted in the philosophical writings of the Gaudiya Vaishnava school, the school represented by Swami Bhaktivedanta as the latest in a long succession of teachers. It can be said that this school of Vaishnavism was founded or revived by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who lived from 1486 to 1533 in Bengal, and that is currently the strongest single religious force in the eastern part of the Indian subcontinent. The Gaudiya Vaishnava school, what does that sound? Is that from your end or?
No, it shouldn't be from my end.
Okay. The Gaudiya Vaishnava school, for whom Krishna himself is the supreme God and not merely an incarnation of another deity, sees bhakti as an immediate and powerful religious force consisting of love between man and God. Let me stop here. You can explain what you have understood and then I can comment.
So, I mean, this is all about the deepness of Bhagavad Gita.
This is, yeah, I mean, he's talking about, how the Bhagavad Gita is connected to the Gaudiya Vaishnava school and who is Bhaktivedanta and who is Chaitanya.
And I don't know what you want me to say. Please comment on it.
Yeah, whatever your thoughts are on this passage, you can share. Or we can ask questions like, what does we mean? What does he mean by saying the Gaudiya Vaishnava school for whom Krishna himself is the supreme God? What does that mean?
Exactly. Why is Krishna the supreme God?
What do you think? Why?
I mean, I understand that that you want to address him as supreme God, or something that is above everything else. But why can't he be the professor of that time, the wise man of that time?
So here's the thing. I think a lot is lost in translation, The Bhagavad Gita represents Krishna as Bhagavan. And Bhagavan is always translated as God. Ishvara is also translated as God. Paramatma is translated as God. Brahman is translated as God. But in Sanskrit, all these words are different things. And the English language does not have a developed vocabulary to explain each of these things, and therefore they use the generic word God. Like spice is a generic word. But salt is also spice, and pepper is also spice, and chili flakes is also spice, and oregano is also spice, and basil is also spice, and garam masala is also spice, and turmeric is also spice, but each spice is different.
Yes, but when you address it specifically, then you know what you
Yes.
want to say, right?
So in the Sanskrit, Bhagavad Gita is very specific. Bhagavan uvacha. Not Paramatma uvacha, not Ishvara uvacha,
Mm.
Bhagavan uvacha. In English, you cannot translate that but say, God, because it's the English language. It's not the cultural language of the Bhagavad Gita.
So for me, who doesn't know the Sanskrit, how should I understand this?
So,
Because I want it to appeal to me. I want this to be so, I
so
want to take on it, right?
right.
I
So
want to touch it.
here is what Bhagavan means. One who has all strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and detachment. That means you look at this person and you suddenly realize there is nobody more beautiful on this planet than her or him. And by the way, in English you have masculine or feminine. In Sanskrit you have masculine, feminine, neuter. There is Tritiya Prakriti. Hmm? So it's not just, heteronormative, so to say.
Yeah.
It acknowledges the diversity of everybody who is there. So Aishwarya means wealth or grandeur. One who is so grand, you can't imagine anything more grand than this. Virya is valor. He's so brave, you cannot imagine anybody more brave than this. Knowledge, you so knowledgeable, you cannot imagine more knowledge than somebody like this. So beautiful, you cannot imagine anybody more beautiful than this. So strong, nothing stronger can possibly exist. But so detached that this person does not even take his wealth or her wealth, fame, strength, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this person beautiful, attractive, right? This idea, somebody is so attractive that you can't turn away from that person, in Sanskrit it's called Krishna. Krishna means attractive,
Understand.
all attractive. It's so attractive, so sweet, so disarming and charming that it melts your heart. So is this God? Who knows? But at least it is Bhagavan.
Is it possible for a person to be like that?
They are saying Krishna is like that, and they are giving literature explaining why Krishna is like that. And the Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD. The Srimad Bhagavatam is grade 1 through 12, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is postgrad, undergrad, postgrad. Or maybe Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjwal Nilamani, these books are like undergrad. And, Chaitanya Charitamrita is the application of Rasha Shastra, that's postgrad.
So should I want to cultivate the Bhagavan within me?
So,
Or is there a Bhagavan in me?
yes, so Bhagavan within somebody is called Paramatman. And Bhagavan around, like, this laptop, the electricity, the paper and the ink, the headphone, the curtain behind you, and the green screen behind me, all of this is Brahman. And the Srimad Bhagavatam says that the same thing, Advaya, manifests as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So on one level, there is no difference between Bhagavan within you and the plant that you are growing and the person who is eating it, right? This is all Brahman. Sarva khalu idam Brahman. But that can only be understood through knowledge. If you're trying to see the essence of all that within you, then it can only be understood through intuition, that is yoga. Then you see the Bhagavan within. But on the outside, you either see Bhagavan, that is somebody who is complete with all these qualities, or somebody who comes and teaches you about Bhagavan, and you understand Bhagavan through hearing.
Yes.
Just as we use our eyes to look at the world around, right? Our eyes, our first instinctive sense in terms of the material world. Similarly, our ears and our mind is the first instinctive sense in terms of our inner world, which some people call the spiritual world. So clear so far?
Yes.
So then the big question remains is God Bhagavan, or is Bhagavan God? Because when people use the English language and they use God,
Maybe we
then
should define God first of all.
yes, and that is what this book will do. Prabhupada will get there. One of the first things that Prabhupada will do is define what he means by God. And the definition I gave you, Aishwarya, Virya, these 6 qualities in its maximum capacity, is what we mean by Bhagavan. In the English language, we have no other words, and therefore we use the word God. Clear so far?
Yes.
We can continue.
Mm.
You can read.
Okay. Swami Bhaktivedanta comments upon the Gita from his point of view, and that is legitimate. More than that, in this translation, the Western reader has the unique opportunity of seeing how a Krishna devotee interprets his own text. It is the Vedic exegetical tradition,
Exegetical tradition.
justly famous in action. This book is then a welcome addition from many points of view. It can serve as a valuable textbook for the college student. It allows us to listen to a skilled interpreter explicating a text which has profound religious meaning. It gives us insights into the original and highly convincing ideas of the Gaudiya Vaishnava school. In providing the Sanskrit in both Devanagari and transliteration, it offers Sanskrit specialists the opportunity to reinterpret or debate particular Sanskrit meanings, although I think there will be little disagreement about the quality of the Swami's Sanskrit scholarship. And finally, for the non-specialist, there is reliable English and a devotional attitude which cannot help but move the sensitive reader. And which I hope we are. And there are the paintings, which incredibly, as it may seem to those familiar with contemporary Indian religious art, were done by American devotees. I'll just finish.
Yeah.
The scholars, the student of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and the increasing number of Western readers interested in classical Vedic thought have been done a service by Swami Bhaktivedanta by bringing us a new and living interpretation of a text already known to many. He has increased our understanding manifold, and arguments for understanding in these days of estrangement need not be made. Professor Edward C. Timok, Jr.
My alma mater. Anyway, the most important point there, I think, is it's a Vedic exegetical tradition justly famous in action. Exegetical tradition means where a teacher, student, or friends, they sit down with the text and they read it and they understand it. But more importantly, it's not just a question of understanding it, it's a question of, all right, now we know this, what do we do about it? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, the action.
Yeah, because without the action, a lot of this doesn't make sense. And that's why Prabhupada is very clear that this is not armchair philosophy, right? And if he were trained at the University of Chicago, he would have said, I think, that bhakti is the subjective science of the self. It's a subjective sense of the
Yes.
self, right? And that's why one of the key ideas, the last key idea that he says is that for the non-specialist, there is readable English, but more importantly, a devotional attitude is the attitude with which you approach something
Yeah.
that cannot help but move the sensitive reader. Rupa Goswami calls this Suridaya. Suridaya means good-hearted or sensitive. And only when you are sensitive, you understand what's going on. If you read it with a critical mind, but without sensitivity, you will come up with 108 arguments, but you will not know what is going on. Am I clear so far?
Yes.
All right. You want to read the preface, and
Mm,
then we will call it a day, and then we will start from the introduction.
yes, of course.
Hmm.
So, originally, I wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is, in the form of which it is presented now. When this book was first published, the original manuscript was unfortunately cut short to less than 400 pages, without illustrations and without explanations for most of the original verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Upanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English transliteration, word for word, Sanskrit English equivalents, translations, and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self-evident. I was not very happy, therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript. But later on, when the demand of Bhagavad Gita as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form, and Messrs. Macmillan and Co. Company agreed to publish the complete edition. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript to this great book of knowledge with a full parampara explanation in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively.
Is that something on your end? Because there is nothing open on my end.
To be honest, oh, maybe,
Oh,
oh, I
that's
have,
I had something. I had something. My mistake.
because
Um,
I'm in Krishna.org, so it shouldn't be.
but I mean, the last sentence here is very important, I think. In order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively.
I think it's important to understand this correctly
Hmm.
and not take it fundamentally.
Yeah. Keep reading. I think this is important. Shall I continue with the next paragraph?
Yes, please.
Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Now, I mean, to claim that this is Bhagavad Gita as it is a very tall claim. But I want to spend some time talking about what he means by as it is. It is
Yes.
gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially amongst the younger generation. It is also becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for leading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Krishna consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself, since it was started a very long time ago but is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajagacharya, Ashtottara Shata Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that means that this is a movement that's quite ancient. And what is this movement? If you were to ask me to summarize it in 3 words, it would be
Yes.
dharma, yoga, and prema, which is the essence of bhakti. Dharma is satya, saucha, tapa, and daya. Yoga, every chapter of this Bhagavad Gita is called a yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. But man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru or sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam smaranam braja. Right? Whatever Krishna is saying here, that is prema. And here is a good metaphor to understand it. Think of it as think of the Bhagavad Gita as a treasure chest of wisdom that can make life so awesome that when you look back at your own life and think, what exactly did I do? Whoa, it'll blow your mind. It's the best way to use time on planet Earth. And you could say that of many other religious texts too. For a Muslim, the Quran has the same value. But at the end of the day, if people fight about their Bhagavad Gitas and their Qurans and their Bibles, then the purpose of these books are lost.
Yes.
But if we see what are the ethical values, what is the process that they are telling me to follow? But more importantly, what is the outcome of doing all of this? If you do not, if you are not clear about these 3 points, and then there is a fourth point is who am I to be doing this? Where am I in my life right now? Am I ready?
Mm-hmm.
The moment you have these 3 things plus one, 3 plus 1, clear in your head, you're ready to progress. And this is the methodological lens through which people who pursue bhakti, especially in the school started by Sri Chaitanya, understand this. The first one, this is in Sanskrit, it is called Anubandha Chatushtaya, or the 4 principles of hermeneutics or exegesis. Sambandha means interconnections. Some, like the English word same, some, so and so forth, and bandha is like the English word bond. So sambandha is same bondedness.
Mm-hmm.
Abhidheya means, okay, now that I know, I have this knowledge, what do I do about it? Because knowledge is power, and with powers comes responsibilities. So what am I doing with it? That's Abhidheya. But okay, I know a lot and I'm doing all this. What am I getting out of it? That's prayojan, the aim of anything we do. So the prayojan of running a business is to make profit. The prayojan of raising a child is satisfaction of the heart. The prayojan of sleep is to get up refreshed. So for example, if you look at your own sleep cycle, you will realize one thing. I have a body, my body gets tired. It needs to shut down for 6 to 8 hours every day so that the other 24, other hours of the 24-hour cycle is productive, right? And therefore, I must prepare a bed nicely, take a shower, and sleep in peace. So having this idea in your head is samandha. Now going and making the bed is avidheya, and sleeping and waking up fresh is prayojan. The person who is doing all of this is the adhikari, the person, the person
Yeah.
who needs that sleep. And this is what Sri Krishna teaches. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavat, all these books give you sambandha gyan. And as you read through this, you will get ideas, oh, this is what I need to do in my life based on this teaching. And once you start doing that, and that is abhidheya, the process. And then gradually, like you see when you're growing plants, you don't see sprouts the first day. You just see mud and water and fertilizer, and the fertilizer smells bad. Right? But after a few days, you see a little sprout. Okay, more sunlight, more this, and you keep waiting, waiting, waiting. All you need to have once you're in this process is patience. And when you have patience, one day you will see the flower grow, right? And this is a science. You know, you don't. There is nothing called, growing a Hindu marigold plant, or Hindu rose bush, or a Muslim rose bush, or a Christian rose bush, right? Rose is rose, and if it smells, everybody knows. You don't have to be, culturally trained to smell the fragrance of a rose. Similarly, when you become like Arjuna, a protector of dharma, committed to the well-being of the entire ecosystem on planet Earth, it doesn't matter if Arjuna is Hindu, because the word Hindu is not even there in Sanskrit texts. It's a thing that foreigners invented to describe the people of India. Anybody who lived on the other side of the Sindhu River and they could not pronounce the word, the sound sa, they said ha. So Soma became Homa and Sindhu became Hindu. And then the British came and added an ism at the back and turned it into Hinduism. But what we had was dharma, and the practice of dharma could be done by Vaishnavas, Shaivas, anybody. Your choice of what you wanted to believe or disbelieve was your business. Nobody asked you a question, do you believe in God? Because it's an irrelevant question. Huh? And in the 6 Vedic systems of philosophy, so-called 6 systems, Mimamsa is very clear about the idea that they don't care if there is a God out there. They care about language and the power of speech. Vedanta says, at least in the Advaitic system, everything is Brahman. Brahman means everything is everything. And when you realize that, you become free from suffering. Sankhya, traditional Sankhya does not have Ishvara. They don't have a God. They just say there is Purusha and Prakriti, that means matter and consciousness. And these two interact. Consciousness is pure. Matter comes in the presence of consciousness, like a dancer girl entertains consciousness for some time, and then once the drama is over, they separate and the experience remains, but consciousness remains pure. That's Sankhya. Vaisheshika says everything is made out of little particles everywhere, right? And yoga says, oh, there is Ishvara. Ishvara pranidhanat, right? From the surrender to Ishvara comes siddhi, samadhi siddhi, the perfection of samadhi. So out of all the 6 Vedic schools, so to say, only one has the idea of an Ishvara, and even that says, oh, it's optional. And Bhagavad Gita comes in the tradition of Vedanta that says there is Brahman, that is everything. There is Paramatman, that is the Bhagavan, the Brahman within, that gives you consciousness. And there is Bhagavan, Brahman without, the embodiment of Brahman, which is also known as Parabrahman, the supreme Brahman or the ultimate Brahman, because that is a Brahman with a name and a face that you can love. You cannot love Brahman as Paramatma. You cannot love Brahman as Brahman, but you can love Brahman as Bhagavan. And a great example of this is water. Ice is also water. Water vapor is also water. And the water you drink is also water. But water vapor cannot quench your thirst. Neither can ice quench your thirst. If you are thirsty, you have to drink water. You cannot lick water. You cannot chew water. You cannot breathe water. Technically, it is possible. But that satisfaction of the heart will not come unless you take water that tastes the way you expect it to taste. And technically, water has no taste. If you ask a scientist, distilled water is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, at least according to human senses. But we still taste water. And once you drink, you have satisfaction if you're thirsty. And that only liquid form of water can give. Similarly, Brahman is like water vapor. It is everywhere. If there was no water vapor, you would die in a few seconds. Right? Paramatman is like ice. You can hold it, you can perceive it. But Bhagavan is like liquid water. You cannot drink ice or water vapor, but once you drink water, you feel satisfaction. And that is why a name and face is important. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that personhood is a fundamental aspect of reality. It is not an illusion. Just as time, I mean, if you look at the sun, or if you just live your life, do animals understand the concept of time the way humans do?
Maybe not. Do we understand animals?
But we humans have watches and clocks and things like that, right? We understand. So we have a clock to understand time. Knowledge is everywhere. But then we have a printed book to understand what is knowledge. Similarly, Brahman is everywhere. But we need Bhagavan in a concrete, solid form because we are humans and that's what we can relate to.
Yeah.
To understand that Krishna is a person who embodies Brahman, right? And the existence that we can perceive within our heart as Paramatman is to understand the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Am I clear so far?
Yes.
Okay. Was this satisfying? You liked it?
To me, yes. But as you're mentioning satisfaction and satisfying a few times now, I wanted to ask, I mean, every person is unique. And we talk about satisfaction. And you said you have to drink the water to feel the satisfaction.
Yeah, so that is why we are. How do you drink the water of the Bhagavad Gita? By hearing it. You drink through your ear. And John Keats, I'll finish with this. There was a romantic poet called John Keats. And John Keats often used a poetic device called synaesthesia. You know what that means?
Not exactly.
Some people can listen to music and see colors, right? They experience the satisfaction of eating food when they smell it or see it. So that is a synesthetic effect. That means when you hear, you feel the same kind of satisfaction like you would feel as you just drank water after being very thirsty.
Yeah.
And it will gradually come. It will come drop by drop. Okay? Is that good enough for one day? You want to continue tomorrow?
Yeah, let's continue tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. I'll try and upload this.
Okay.
All
So
right.
you don't want us to kind of end the preface? No, it's long.
We will continue from here. It's 1 a.m.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.